Production cupping. What are we evaluating as coffee roasters when we do a cupping of our production roast? Well, this video will tell you. We use cupping as a technique to evaluate and assess each one of our roasted batches. We use this in various different ways. We may be assessing the quality of our raw coffee. We may be roast profiling, so trying to develop a recipe. And then there's production cupping, which in my mind is the simplest form of cupping that you'll ever do because you're doing one type of assessment. Is this cup saleable? Because that's what we're trying to do as coffee roasters. We're trying to take a raw product, roast it, so that we can sell it to our customer base. And production cupping is here to approve or disapprove the roasted batch ready for sale. So in a production cupping, I'm not thinking about profile development. I'm not thinking about whether I could eke one or more points out of the particular green coffee. What I'm trying to do is ask myself, could I sell this to my customers? Am I confident in the flavor profile? Have I done a good job based on the metrics in which I deem a good job? And we'll talk about those now. So first of all, I'm going to be asking myself, are there any roast faults? So is there a perceived bitterness? Is it underdeveloped, so grassy or straw-like? Is there anything inside of each one of these cups that are spiking as an anomaly to the detriment of the cup profile? Because if there is, I want to pull that from production and I want to pull that from sale because I don't want you, my customers, to have a defective roast. Now, I've been roasting for quite a few years and I'm fairly confident that I'm not going to impart too many roast defects. I'm also roasting on very professional equipment, which does a lot of heavy lifting. And there's a message to you. If you're going to be a quality roaster, buy quality equipment and quality green. So essentially, have I done a bad job in any one of these cups? Assuming that once I've cupped the first pass and I've not found any particular anomaly to the detriment, I could also ask myself, was there any particular cup here that tasted really good? And inside of these things, I may be wanting to take a note of my roasted batch and make an isolation of that. So I would have a notepad and pen available. I'd be making notes about which one of these batches performed higher than norm or lower than norm. Of course, I want each one of the coffees to say exactly what it should do on the tin. And that is that on the front of each one of our bags, we have some flavor descriptors. So I want to make sure that the El Bourbillon meets these flavor descriptors because otherwise I'm going to be mis-selling you something. If I say orange and gingerbread and dark chocolate like it does on this bag, I want you to be able to taste at least one of those things and preferably all three. The only reason why I wouldn't do that is if I've not added the correct flavor notes and or I've imparted some roast defect or I've not been able to get much out of the coffee. And these are the sorts of things I'd be politely thinking about during a production cupping is, am I meeting those metrics, the marketing metrics as well? Now, I've done my first pass, I've maybe done a second pass of the table, and I've noted which of these cups may have an anomaly to the positive or negative. After that, I then may transfer myself through to Cropster. I use Cropster as a roast software program, and I will be able to have each of these batch numbers listed and shown on my computer screen. I'll then be able to look at the roast profiles very briefly to describe to me whether there definitely has been a positive or negative roast character imparted inside of any of these cups. One hopes, and often, there's no problem at all, and it's just a cursory glance that I am doing of my roast profiles. I may also be looking at other metrics as well. Does the color match what I want for my target for each one of those batches? Does my time match? Does my temperature match? Are there any of the heat applications, so the heat profiling, do those match as well? Some of this information is also proportionate to the volume in which you roast. Now, I've got 4 samples on the table today, so it'd be very easy for me to really analyze each one of these batches. However, on a standard production week, when I'm roasting 60 batches, it becomes very difficult to do all of this production analysis. And actually, when it comes to production cupping, I look in a very much more focused way. And that is literally go through all the cups, slurp, slurp, slurp. Does this meet my expectations? Yes or no? Can I sell it? Yes or no? Great. Pass it on. We can get it out the door and sell the coffee, which is the function of every business. Of course, Because I'm doing that sort of volume, I will be thinking, have I got any peaks and troughs out of this? And I'll be taking those out, isolating them. Hopefully, if there's a positive element, I'll be taking that through to the next type of profiles. And if there's a negative element, like I said, you pull those from sale. So let's have a little cup of this table and I'll describe some of these profiles and maybe I'll tell you if I would pull these or approve these inside of our production. Because look, this is a production cupping today. Right, first pass, I would approve all of these. Great, that's fantastic, and it's kind of exactly what I was going to expect. I didn't expect any of these to be bad roasts. Yes, I may be able to improve some of them, but that's not the function of a production cupping in my mind. So, if I was to then analyse, what I would then do is go back to an individual coffee and think about them. So this is the Pantano. It's supposed to do nuts, chocolates, and a little bit of orange acidity and present a creaminess in the cup. So I'd be asking myself, does this particular batch do exactly that? And it does. I don't have any off flavours. I've got orange on the cup. It is creamy. It does have a milk chocolate. It is nice and soft. So as far as I'm concerned on the production side, this is tick approve. Next is the Daniel Caldeira. It's another natural processed coffee from Brazil. Expectations, again, some citrus acidity and dark chocolates and loads of texture. So let's see if that does that. It does. There's much more sweet orange in this. It is a better coffee than the Pantano. The Pantano is a core product. I would expect this to perform a little bit more because it is a dearer product. It's a higher scoring coffee. Does it do exactly as I wish? The dark chocolates, the creaminess, the orange notes, the sweetness? Yes, it does. So another tick. Production approved. This is ready for sale. Now, interestingly, these two are the washed new coffee release, the El Bourbillon, which I'd release a brand new coffee every single week to coffee subscribers, retail customers alike. And here are the two batches that I did for that pool of customers. So this would be slightly different when it comes to the production cupping. I'm not only trying to approve each one of these, I'm also trying to figure out whether there is good balance between both of the cups because I need these to perform nigh on exactly the same because they go out to a singular pool of customers in a single instance of sale, and that is our subscription platform and our subscribers. So let's get into the first cup. This is supposed to do orange, gingerbread, and dark chocolate, and this cup does exactly that, which is great because I've already sent this out to our subscribers, and I hope that they're going to enjoy this. Now, next cup should be exactly the same, and it is. This may be a touch more acidity, there's a touch more orange in this, but notionally they perform exactly the same on the cupping table. I might then, because this is a production cupping plus, i.e. I want to do a little bit of profile analysis as well. I then may go across to my laptop and I might do a little bit of an assessment of the two. Now, between these two batches, this roast here with that slightly elevated degree of orange acidity had a 0.4 degrees increase in time, and it was roasted by, it was an extra 5 seconds in length in total roast time. So production cupping hat taken off, profile development hat put on, I have a preference for this roast. So this washed Bourbon and Pacas blend from El Salvador on a cultivar level seems to prefer a slightly longer roast than a shorter one. Shorter being 9 minutes and 27 seconds and the other one being 9 minutes and 32 seconds. So this is where I would then be flipping the hat between profile development and production cupping because I'm a roaster and I cannot help do that. But imagine that I wasn't the roaster and actually I was just part of quality control and I would be cupping these coffees to approve them for sale. Both of these cups I would be approving predominantly because there are no defects in the roast and also they conform to the flavour profiles on the bag. So to recap, production cupping in my mind is about assessing coffee for sale. Are there any defects that you would therefore not allow the coffee out of the door. Inside of this, you would also partially be wearing a profiling hat if you are the roaster doing your production cupping, and you'd be asking yourself, are there any anomalous to the positive or negative of the particular roasted batches that you have done, proportionate to the design for each of those roasts. And therefore you would be isolating the positives and taking those forward, and then trying to assess what may have gone wrong in the ones that you didn't quite like. But that's the underbelly of what you should be doing, and rather you should be thinking about which of these coffees are available to sell to your customer base and which are not. Beyond production cupping, we could also cup for profile analysis, we could cup for profile development. So we could be doing solubility testing, application for brew apparatus, we could be developing different roast profiles based on some of the flavour qualities that we may be perceiving in our baseline roast profile. There's lots of ways of using cupping to assess the particular coffee. But with respect to production cupping, it is, in my mind, all about goods out the door. Have I done a good or a bad job? And making sure that a bad job never goes out that roll top. I hope this video has been somewhat insightful and useful. I'm free to answer any questions. This particular subject came from somebody who put a comment in the comment section below. That is great because it gives me an idea about what you're interested in understanding from a professional coffee roaster. I'm very happy to try to curate videos within my skill set to describe exactly what we do here at Blending Room. These videos are not prescriptive, i.e. you don't have to do exactly what I say and you don't have to agree with exactly what I say. This is more a description about some of the processes that I partake in during my normal production day at my company. As usual, if you happen to pick up any of the coffees that I roast, I hope you enjoy them and have a great week.